Welcome to Wildlife Quest. Today we are continuing our tour of WILDLANDS Adventure Zoo Emmen. Last time we explored the zoo, we went through the cold north and rugged coastlines of Nortica. Today we travel to Serenga, which the zoo also opened with in 2016. This area takes you through the drier regions of our planet, exploring savannas, grasslands and deserts. So, without any further ado, let's start our tour. You enter Serenga just like the other two areas from the zoo's main entrance plaza. The Sun Palace, based on North African architecture, functions as the welcoming gate into Serenga. Inside, you'll find Africa's smallest carnivore, the dwarf mongoose. While they mostly feed on insects, they have also been seen taking down dangerous snakes. In the wild, they have developed a mutualistic relationship with hornbills, where they forage together and warn each other for incoming threats. When you exit the Sun Palace, you'll find yourself in the Dogon village, where you can find a petting zoo with Nubian and dwarf goats and miniature donkeys. Next is a walk-through enclosure home to black-tailed prairie dogs. After passing the Prairie Cafe and past some rocks, you'll find a pool home to hippos, known as one of, if not the most dangerous animal in Africa. But if you don't bother them, they are actually quite graceful animals, especially when viewed underwater. Hippos can even sleep underwater, having developed a reflex which takes them up for air every few minutes without waking them up. The biggest threats for adult hippos are sickness and droughts, but young hippos face many enemies, such as crocodiles, lions, hyenas, and even other hippos. A big rock archway functions as the entrance to the fictional MONGOOSE National Park, which consists of a big loop around a couple of big central habitats. But first, we pass through another walk-through enclosure home to swamp wallabies, and we find a side route leading into HAMADRYAS, a big indoor play jungle which is also home to some animal species. At the entrance you'll find a big tank home to sea turtles and multiple fish species. On the bottom floor of the play jungle you'll find a cave leading to naked mole rats, and on the top floor are some aquaria, home to more fish species and most notably axolotls. The final animal species found here is the African spurred tortoise as you exit the building. If you would have followed the main path, you would have come across an Asian desert habitat home to Bactrian camels and onagers, also known as the Asiatic wild ass. Like all wild equine species, the onagers are threatened. Not only poachers are a threat, but also the competition with humans and their cattle for food and water sources in their dry habitat are very damaging to this species. Onagers are very intelligent animals with great vision and hearing. They prefer to run from predators, but when it comes down to it, they can give a mean kick with their sharp hooves. In this habitat, you might have noticed the crashed train, which we will come back to later. Another vehicle you'll find here is the Serenga Safari Truck, which takes you inside Serenga's central animal habitat for a close-up view. The two enclosures it takes you through are the Asian desert and our next stop, the African savanna. A 5-acre habitat home to blue wildebeest, plain zebras, impala, white rhinos, northern giraffes, including multiple cows, and the Fassa waterbuck. The Serenga savanna features a big pool of water with a raised walkway above it for the guests. On the other side of this pool and walkway, you'll find a big hill overlooking the savanna, home to its biggest predator, the African lion. With the size of this enclosure and the laziness of lions, I don't have much great footage, so we'll have to save this species for another tour. Next, you might spot some giant termite mounds, which we can climb up on to have a look over the savanna, much like the next species would do. Meet the meerkats. We can get onto ground level with the meerkats by descending into the termite mound, or watch them from the walkway which crosses their enclosure. When we walk along further, we enter a small Maasai village home to red river hawks and miniature zebu. Here you also find the boarding station for the Serenga safari. Next up is one of Serenga's most impressive displays, the Baboon Arena, which is themed as a dilapidated amphitheater being excavated and is of course home to HAMADRYAS baboons. Unlike most monkeys, baboons feel at home in dry rocky environments, even sleeping on cliffs to stay clear of predators. Living in these environments can be harsh, so baboons basically eat everything from grass and fruits to insects and small animals. During the day, these monkeys live in small groups consisting of one adult male, a few females and their offspring, while at night they congregate in clans of hundreds of baboons. The arena at Wildlands currently houses around 130 baboons. After the arena, our next stop is a plaza with a great view of the savanna. Here you'll also find Mama's restaurant. Inside there's a small courtyard home to lovebirds and harlequin quail. Continuing on from the plaza is a long stretch of path along the savanna with two side paths. One leads you to something you might not expect at a zoo, the dueling steel shuttle coaster named Tweestrijd. Its location is a bit separated from the main zoo as to not disturb the animals, but it still fits in with the theming pretty well, racing through an African mine. The coaster has you choose between two trains, fair mining and substantial farming. At the end of the year, Wildlands donates to one of these good causes, depending on which one has been boarded the most. The other side path will lead you to the Kifaru Ranger Station, with another great view of the savanna. Here you can learn more about the species and the threats they face, but also about the rangers who keep them safe. Further along, we'll reach a familiar area. We have arrived on the other side of the crashed train. When you enter the train, you'll notice it has been turned into a poacher hideout. Here we can also get an up-close look at the camels and onagers. And on the other side is a South American habitat featuring vicuñas and greater Rheas. No, Rheas are not ostriches and not even emus. They are closely related, but Rheas are their own species of flightless birds. Vicuñas are also often overshadowed by their family members, being the wild ancestor of the domesticated alpaca and very closely related to the guanaco, which is the wild ancestor of the llama. European settlers used to hunt vicuñas for their valuable wool, leading to a drastic drop in population numbers to as low as 6,000. Luckily, due to conservation efforts, they have recovered to around 350,000. As we leave the train behind us, we close our loop and arrive back at the entrance arch for Mama's National Park. Here, we can go through the Meridian Path and enter Nordica, or head back to the entrance plaza and get ready for our next tour. But for now, this concludes our tour of Serenga at WILDLANDS Adventure Zoo Emmen. As a final message, I'd like to encourage you all to help protect the world's wildlife. There's always something you can do to help, from donating to just spreading the word. Since we have been touring Serenga today, I'd like to highlight an organization which the Wildlands Nature and Education Foundation also supports, which is Save the Rhino International. The organization mainly focuses on combating poaching and the protection of all 5 rhinoceros species, 3 of which are critically endangered. You can learn more about them and what you can do to help on their website, which will be linked in the description. Even buying something from their shop directly supports the conservation effort. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time on Wildlife Quest.